Earth. Our cradle, our protective shell, became a deadly trap. It got too small and we wouldn't stop growing. We had to get out. We challenged the stars, but they were beyond our reach. It would seem that, as a species, we have finally reached our limit. Until now. Introducing the core. Using the latest advancements in biotechnology, we can digitize what makes us human. Creativity, consciousness, resilience, empathy, and store it in secure psyche units. Cores. Enter the era of portable population. On the far side of the universe, we found a place to start again. We build Mobius, an orbital city floating above planet Vulcan. There, stored securely in cores, the future citizens await its completion. Free of past limitations, we have finally conquered time and space. With core technology, we render human life cycle obsolete. Thus, Project Eden began.
Metal Eden is a game developed by Rycon Games, the same studio that gave us Ruiner back in the day. If you want to see my review of Ruiner, I made it a long time ago. I will not watch it, for I will cringe, but you can feel free to watch it if you want to. The same vibes that you got when playing Ruiner, if you've played it. If not, then just look at how Metal Eden looks in the video that I'm showing you, and you'll get the idea of what Ruiner was doing. They very much carry that same style here in both their gameplay and their pre-rendered cutscenes.
Hyper unit was destroyed during the last run. Never a pleasant look, is it? A constant reminder of what we need to endure.
Establishing connection. Core Ripper active. Hyper unit is mission go.
Well done, Asuka. Now you're complete.
Warning. ISC units inbound.
Bring these clowns to the ground. Unleash your hyperpower. Rip their cores out. You know you want to.
I had a really good time with the game overall, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't craving a bit more from it. But with the way the game ends, I might just get what I want. For now, let's talk about Metal Eden, a first-person shooter that leans heavily on the gameplay structure of Doom and just a little bit of Metroid Prime here and there. In Metal Eden, you play as Asuka, an android given one objective and one objective only: save the citizen cores of Eden from Mobius, a floating city above the planet Vulcan, and a group called the Engineers. Save them from the Engineers, I mean, not save the Engineers as well. No, you gotta take them out. The game takes place in the distant future where every single person by that point in time is just data in a core. The goal with that was to essentially get said people in these cores a new body somewhere deemed habitable, since Earth was no longer deemed, well, habitable. The story isn't bad, but it isn't great either. It was entertaining and interesting enough for me to keep going to see how it goes, but by chapter 2 you will start putting the pieces together and where everything is going, so nothing really shocks you. Not saying a good story is one that needs to shock you. I'm just saying that what is on offer here is just very run-of-the-mill. It's very average. Not insulting, but also not something that had me on the edge of my seat. If you are one of those people who did play Ruiner, then some of the beats are going to feel very familiar to you. But with the limited bits that you get between the cast members, and that cast is pretty small, I would say that's where the meat and potatoes of, I guess, what is there that is interesting with the story comes from, which makes sense. Obviously, you want your cast to be driving the story. But what I'm really just saying is the greater narrative overall, not that interesting. The cast, as they're navigating from, well, Asuka is navigating from one place to another, and you learn more from them and get a sense of their personalities, that's when things start getting more interesting. What really sells the story, in my opinion, is the excellent presentation in the cinematics. Again, they're pre-rendered, but that doesn't make them any less impressive. So, all in all, story overall average, cast pretty doggone good, presentation, nice.
Build. Plastics engaged. Stack Blackout frame check completed. Rebuild sequence complete. Warning. Receptors calibration in progress. Hyper unit, confirm your status.
Is something bothering you?
Just some noise in my core.
Hyper unit, confirm your status.
In the name of duty, courage, and truth, I will protect the citizens.
Gameplay wise, if you've played Doom 2016 or any game like that, then this will feel very familiar to you, mostly. The combat is fast paced, while the traversal portions of the game are deliberately slow and spaced out for things like exposition, dialogue, and the like. During the combat, and especially during the exploration portions of the game, you can also find some goodies like the currency you use to spend on upgrading your weapons, lives so that you can keep fighting after you lose all your health. When you lose your lives, by the way, when you die, air quotes. If you have lives, you kind of just keep going. She kind of just bunts her fists together and is like, all right, let's go. Round 2. So that's nice. you don't just cut to black. You lost a life. Try this part again. You just keep going. Anyway, you can also find some extra hackable drones to upgrade your abilities. The gameplay loop starts pretty simple, but as you progress through the game, as you probably figure, it can get very intense. I haven't died, but I have lost my fair share of lives here and there, so I'll count that. I played on normal difficulty. There are 4 difficulties total in the game, and once again, as I've mentioned before numerous times, I'm not great at shooters. I'm average at best. So my aim is pretty potato. But even with that, I had a really good time with the combat in this game. Where I'll lobby criticism with this game, or at least regarding its combat and how that feels, is that sometimes the navigation of the enemies isn't quite up to par. Sometimes they're reasonably aggressive, which is perfectly fine with me. Other times, enemies seem to lose track of me or have a hard time getting to me once I get into a very awkward place in a combat arena or wherever I'm at. So like in the cases where I get on top of something that I probably shouldn't be able to get to, or if I just hide behind something that I shouldn't be able to hide behind, at least not comfortably. You know, one of those moments where you get behind a few crates, but you know if you take 1 step back, you'll fall. One of those places. For example, where I'd lost the most amount of lives was against some enemies that just charge at you on Vulcan, but if I stood up on top of something, they had no way to charge at me because they didn't know where I went, really. So they just sit there and let me take shots at them. Or if I got behind something a little awkward that they kind of seemed to lose track of me, I would just end up playing a lethal game of peekaboo. I know there's only so much that could be done about that kind of thing, but it happened often enough that I thought I'd point it out. There are portions of the game where Asuka can take on her ball form to traverse the environment on Vulcan. This is where I got the Metroid Prime vibes, despite the fact that I've only really played Metroid Dread, but I understand Samus Go Ball. Therefore, there is some Metroid in this game. So I don't know how this feels compared to a Metroid Prime game in that sense, but still. During these sections, you use your ball form to open locked doors or use it for very limited combat. Decent, well, not decent as in fun, it's actually kind of boring. I'd rather be, shooting normally, and thankfully you can get out of your ball form whenever you want during those points. But if you choose to stay in your ball form, you're really just zapping them and firing rockets on occasion. It's just, not as engaging, but it is what it is. What I mean to say when I say decent is that in general, overall, the ball traversal portions are decent, but it drags. Like, it drags the game to a bit of a halt. Like, at some point I just stopped trying to fight some enemies and I just kept going, which I'm glad the game allowed me to do. But overall, the ball traversal portions are decent, just not what you're here for. They're just a nice little breather on occasion from the manic gunplay that you're doing. But with all of that said, I very much enjoyed Metal Eden. It's a short, sweet, and really fun shooter, and it just recently got a new Game Plus mode. So if I'm really feeling like trying to get every upgrade I can do so now. Now, Metal Eden gets a go for it from me, but here's the kicker. It's a game that How Long to Beat says can be completed on average in about 5 hours. With completionists, you're averaging out at about 7 hours. There's not a lot to this game beyond some extra rooms during the game's campaign, at least for right now. Who knows if they do DLC or something like that in the future. So while I still recommend it for people who really enjoy a good shooter and just need something to scratch that itch, I'd also recommend getting it on sale since it's a $40 game. If you're fine with dropping $40 on a game with that length and limited replayability, or at least in my mind, limited replayability, then once again, go for it. However, if you heard However, if you heard $40 and you winced, maybe cringed a little bit, then I'd say pick it up for $20 max. Either way, I still recommend playing the game, but I can't fully recommend it at that price point. That's all for me though. By the time this video is up, Unbeatable... Oh, I reached that part of the script, huh? Okay. So, if you haven't heard, Unbeatable has actually been delayed until December 9th, which means that the review is obviously not happening this month. So, I guess it's time to go pay our boy Suda another visit. And yes, I'm still playing through Silksong. I'm just taking my sweet time with it. That review will go up when it goes up. I normally don't like playing multiple games at the same time, but with Silksong just randomly dropping into everyone's lives like 2 months ago, it kind of just ended up that way. Anyway, I hope you all have enjoyed your stay. I'm TUSDarryl, and I'll catch you all later.